Hi team, and welcome to Season 8 of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast powered by TeamCP. This is a podcast that helps you get all the way from the west coast of the South Island, New Zealand, all the way to the east coast, powered under your own steam, biking, running, kayaking, and a few transitions thrown in there as well. I'm your host, Richard Greer, and on today's podcast, I'm going to be leading the charge, thrust into the number one hot seat after Angus Petrie. The media man with the mo has pulled up lame with a niggly hamstring injury, unfortunately. So he'll be sitting in the stands for today's Kathmandu's Coast to Coast podcast, listening on to the rest of us. So, however, when injuries occur, it just gives an opportunity to another keen broadcaster to step up. So on today on the show, we have TeamCPNZ coach Tim Hansen stepping up into the starting lineup. His pedigree speaks for itself. He's completed the longest day, the 2 days, been involved in support crew. He's done it all. So, he's been warming the bench for the last 7 years, so he finally gets a start. This is the first time that Angus is not going to be sitting next to me. He's not going to be leading the charge in this podcast. So will it be an upgrade? Will the team cohesion still be there? Well, there's only one way to find out. Tim Hansen, welcome aboard.
Good. And I love the sound of the upgrade. We'll just focus in on that one, I think. An upgrade from Angus. He'll love that. So I'm sure I'll be demoted in no time when he hears this one. But hey, good
That's
to be
right.
here.
We'll try and keep it quiet, won't we? But yeah, this podcast is all about getting you from the west coast to the east coast with a smile on your face efficiently and having some fun and learning a bunch of stuff along the way. Tim, to intro you've and I mentioned that you've been involved in this. You're one of our coaching team with TeamCPNZ. You have done the longest day. You've done the 2 day. You've been support crew this year. Pretty cool event, eh?
Awesome event, and it's one of those things, isn't it? Like if you're into multi-sport in this country or this part of the world, the coast to coast is the race that you want to do. So look, yeah, for me, like I'm born and bred in Canterbury, so it was always that race that I wanted to do. Didn't know if I'd ever get to that start line, just with how things played out. But I got there, and I've done both versions of the individual events, so the longest day and the 2 day, and have been heavily involved ever since. Was support crew this year, which was good to be on the other side of the race and see everything that goes into things, and I guess to sort of have that perspective that all that work that goes on behind the scenes, which my crew of both times I've done it have said there's so much that goes into it, which 100% is. So such a cool race for everyone involved, not just the people doing the race themselves, but the support crew too. So it's a great event.
That's right. And I think you're totally right. Multisport, for sure, everyone knows about this. Endurance racing, I think everybody knows about this. But I think the thing that sets this race apart to a lot of other, or especially multisport events or endurance events, is that it's iconic, and people like old ladies up the street in the grocery shop know about it as well, because it has been around for a very long time now. And it's pretty cool to be able to run from one side of the country to the other. I know back in the day, in Dunedin days, when I was studying, I first come across it. I had some friends that were doing it. They talked about, would you like to do it? And my first thought was, I can't do that. That's for elite athletes, elite people, Steve Gurney's of the world. But it's pretty cool these days that like school kids are doing it. Two of my kids have done it, which has done the bike sections of it anyway. And it's more and more accessible, and hopefully this podcast helps to achieve that as well, helps the learning. I mean, back in the old days, like it was secret squirrel about, do you do this or do you do that? It was pretty tough as a first timer to figure out what the heck was going on. The handbooks have made a massive difference, just as the event has evolved. It's pretty cool to have been a part of that on this podcast as well.
And it's in a really good place right now, isn't it? Like it's it's always been popular, but right now it's really popular, and there's different sort of categories coming through, like the secondary schools and all sorts. So it's in the wait list, that process that sort of represents how popular it really is. So it's pretty cool.
A healthy wait list means that the event is going well. It's not good for those people on the wait list, but a lot of people do. Most people, I'd say, get in, and it feels like this year that's going to be the case. We do talk to Glen Currie today on the podcast around his thoughts on the wait list. His thoughts, he always does a review of the event as well. So chat to him about what his focus and how you should be training, how you should be preparing for your coast to coast, if this is your first tilt at the event.
Yep, and there's lots to it, but there's so much support there, right? And the community itself is really cool. That's probably one of the most special things about this race is the community that follow it, and everyone is kind of in it together. Probably not pros, is a bit different, but everyone else is kind of a helping hand. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like often it starts, especially if you're doing the kayaking element of it, starts with your grade 2, and you get to meet people that are obviously in the learning their kayaking skills at the same time. It was really interesting. This year I caught up with Sam from Canterbury Kayaking, and he was at the finish line just saying hi to people. As he said for himself, from a kayaking perspective, that's people's first touch on, like, he's the first intro to the coast to coast doing your kayak grade 2, and he was kind of being at the finish line to kind of wrap that full circle up, which is pretty cool to see, actually. So well done, Sam, for being a part of that, and that's just part of that community thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone's on this massive journey, aren't they? So pretty special.
Absolutely. And as one of our coaches, you've obviously done the event. You've been involved in all sorts of different endurance stuff. You've been involved in sort of fitness and all sorts for years and years. But from your perspective, what's one of the, I guess, why do you do it? What's your reason for being part of, I guess, Team CP as a coach?
Yeah, so been part of the coach teams for at least 3 years now, Rich. How time flies, doesn't it? So, look, endurance racing has done a lot for me personally. So I've done lots of Ironman racing as well before I jumped into the coast to coast world. So again, if that community feel about everything is something that's really, really cool, and just to be around like-minded people, right? Like very positive people that are wanting to be part of something larger than themselves is something that really gives me energy. And I guess to be part of the coaching team, to be following alongside being a big part of people's journeys, because lots of these journeys can actually be quite life-changing for a lot of people, taking on these things that they didn't think were possible, and to see them get over the finish line, and the buzz that they get in, the change in them as humans is something really, really special. So that's probably the main thing that gets me up in the morning to support the people that we work with, and we've got a good community. So and coast to coast, I guess there's special because it's technical, right? Like there's technical skills that you need to pick up. Like you need to learn how to kayak pretty bloody well down a grade 2 river. So it's there's that extra sort of layer of skills or technical things that you need to know how to do. So that's not just about opening the door and going for a jog. It's how to run over rocks well and cross rivers, and then jump in your kayak and paddle that well. So there's an extra sort of layer there, which is a big challenge. Yeah,
plus the fitness, plus the strength, plus the staying healthy, plus the nutrition, all that sort of thing as well that goes on. That stuff too. Yeah, that's right. This time of year was season 8, episode 1. This is our, so I guess, podcast before winter. Then we drop this podcast to kind of, for those new people to kind of get up and running and get them underway. And one part of it is, I guess, our coaching element. There's lots of people that are touching base, getting on board at the moment, which is actually brilliant timing, because we've had like our class of 2026 kind of tick the box, and a lot of them are sort of either having a break or sort of achieved that. So it's actually a really good time to get in touch. So we have, because we've got availability, because we do fill up later on in the year as the year goes on. So I guess just a quick overview of how we do that coaching. But we've got one thing with Team CPNZ, we want to be accessible. We want to be available for people to help them on different levels. So basically we've got our training plan membership and our coaching membership. Our training plan membership is more of a do-it-yourself model, and our coaching membership is more one-on-one to work with me or with Tim, and we'll catch up with you on a regular basis, being that communication being the key thing to make sure that you're doing what you should be doing around life and work and all those sorts of things. That training plan membership, that first one is, as I said, a pre-built plan, and that's a really good way over winter to have a focus, to know that I'm going to work on my kayaking specifically if my running's pretty dialed, or I'm going to be working on just my biking and my running, or whatever the thing might be for you. So you can dial into that. This next wee part that we've got with Coast to Coast is we've got our Training Plan Plus, which is that training plan membership, but we have a group that gets together. We do it from spring, September onwards, because that's when whatever your winter was, whatever your weaknesses were, whatever the thing you're working on was, we want to start bringing all the elements of the coast to coast together. 6 months to race day. Let's kayak, let's bike, let's run. Or if you're doing a team element, we can sort of dial that in as well. But the communication to be part of the group is super cool, and that's pretty fun to kind of meet that group on race day at race registration, and then kind of have someone to kind of help and cheer you on along the way. So there's lots of different levels. There's a bunch of different price points, from the cost of a coffee a week through to let's really look after you. So if that's something, if you need a bit of help, if you need a bit of support, if you need the big stick, if you need to a bit of help through some sticky times to make sure you actually make it to the start line, then that's pretty much our job, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're with everyone every step of the way, right up to race day, where we do race planning and all sorts of things to ensure that people get to the start line and they're very much like, I've got this. I've done my training. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. I've got a strategy on how I'm actually going to do this thing on the day. And if, I've even got plan Bs. So yeah, it was very thorough.
Yeah, 100%. So on today's podcast, so we're going to do a bit of a case study. We're going to talk to Calan Jones, who completed her first coast to coast this year. She shares with us how it went, what she learned both in her build-up and what her race day experience was, from initially booking in the longest day, and then she ended up changing and doing the 2-day and having a super awesome time with that. So we're going to talk to Calan about her journey and her experience on race day. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk to Glen Currie, race director. Obviously, he's done the event himself. But he's been race director for 7 or 8 years now. I think pretty much must be in line with this podcast, actually. And then we're also going to chat to Hamish Elliot, men's longest day champion of the 2026 Kathmandu Coast to Coast, a second victory after a second last year. So we're going to have a chat about his race day, how he prepared, the mental skills that he uses to perform under pressure, and we'll also have a little chat about that swim in the kayak stage that I think most of the New Zealand or the world kind of managed to see as well. But he also managed to carry on and win. And also with Hamish, we're going to spend a bit of time with him also just chatting through what his key tips are for the coast to coast in each different league to break things down. So got lots to get through, lots on. Should be good. Should we sit back and push play there, Tim?
Let's do it.
Okay, well done. Cheers, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Glen Currie, Coast to Coast race director. How are you getting on? Post-race, we're starting to get ready for 2027 now. How are you getting on?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Rich. Yeah, it's post-race, but a lot of our work actually happens that month after the race. There's a lot go on in terms of debriefing and wrapping things up, and then obviously getting set up for next year. So probably feel like we're just coming up for a year this week, really, which is great.
Yeah, good. How many years have you been the race director now? Can I ask that?
I must be 7, I think. 7 years.
7?
Yep.
Yeah,
so
7 now.
7 or 8
Yeah,
events.
which is pretty impressive, isn't it? And I mean, one thing that everybody in a job like you've got is you want to kind of put your stamp on it, improve things. And I really feel like this year, like, hey, there was big decisions being made about course changes because a whole bunch of rain happening on the Friday, running over the viaduct, but obviously you've got that B course pretty much down pat these days. Like, it's pretty cool. Like I've done just about all of those events that you've been the race director for, like, just seamless, super cool from my perspective. But what were your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback from competitors about how it seems seamless, and that's good. That's what we want, is that the competitors and support crews to see that it looks seamless. Obviously, there's hundreds of moving parts in the background, and we see the areas of weakness quite often. And it's a bit like, I always say, it's exactly like doing the event. You go do the event, and you don't get many people who say they've had a perfect year. There's always things that don't quite go right for them. And the organising the race is a little bit like that too. Like, there's always things that we need to tweak and improve, and we see those, and we try to tweak and improve them so it's even a better experience for people the following year. So, but we've got an amazing team, and probably that's what keeps me coming back to Coast is seeing everyone achieve their adventure and having a go at it, obviously, and then the team that I get to work with is a great bunch, and we all get on really well and have a fairly common goal of what we're trying to achieve. And I feel like probably this year for me, that was probably the thing for me, is that team's just so solid that, I sort of look at each of them and we're all sort of in sync a little bit, which is kind of cool. And that's come about after, we've all been working together now, probably the team that's there for about 5 years. So everyone knows their bit and can adapt when necessary, because that's, you sort of need to with that event. There's conditions always going to be different, and you need to be able to adapt to different things that are going to come at you sideways. And the more organised you are, the easier it is to adapt when things do come at you sideways, I suppose.
Well, I think the summary for me of the event this year was it happened at the Sheffield Pie Shop. When I went there to get a custard square, I'd done my run and we were doing the 3-person team. I had one run up out of the river once Toby arrived. But in the Sheffield Pie Shop was Richie, your ops manager. I was like, if he's getting a pie in here, things are probably going okay. So I was impressed with that.
That's the first I heard of that. Yeah, right. He's got time to get the Sheffield.
Should I not say that?
Good to know. You might have got him in trouble, Rich. Yeah, no, he was. He's got a great team too, and he does a great job of managing. A lot of the guys that sort of work for Richie are all volunteers in all the groups, and he's got an amazing rapport with all those guys, so they sort of tick their boxes. So yeah, he probably felt that way a little bit too, that he he's put a number of years into it, so that all the things that he works hard on probably came into play too. So it was cool to see.
So we're looking at the class of 2027. This is what this podcast is about. Starting the season, we do one this side of winter, and then basically we set you free, and then it's a matter of catching back up. This podcast series runs sort of September, October, November, across those months as we sort of start getting into the swing of things and start getting a bit more specific with our training, etc. So I guess this side of winter, if you're in the southern hemisphere, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you're thinking about some winter disappearing and maybe some summer to get some skills and things. What are your thoughts? What are your key messages to competitors at this stage of the season? Hopefully a lot of people have got ballot entries and things like that.
Yeah, so just to update everyone, so everyone would have been offered entries now. Just so people understand that we have a ballot system. We have 1,000 people that were allowed to put over Goat Pass over that weekend. That's our concession number, which we've actually increased over, the last sort of 5 or 6 years from what it was. And now we're capped at 1,000. In terms of our operations, 1,000 is kind of the sweet spot in terms of our operations as well, on what we can handle, and also the number of kayaks on the river. So 1,000 positions, I think we probably had sitting on the wait list around 3,800 people individuals trying to apply for those 1,000 spots. As much as people like to think it is basically random, it's too hard for me to sit there and go through the results. So it is. Yeah, there's 1,000. That's kind of how it is. It's random, and we allocate a certain number to each category of the event. So that's how they come out. We obviously have our elite option. We have an option for the under 23 elites and the elites in the longest day, and we go out to those sort of later in the year to give them an opportunity to decide whether it's going to fit into their race calendars, etc. And that's how that ballot system works. So we've been out, we've offered the first round, and we had a fair chunk of people take those up. And then we also offered a second round based on what spaces we still had available. So from now until race day, we maintain a wait list, and we go out and we allocate people positions as people drop out. Due to the nature of the race, people entering 12 months before the event. There's a lot of life to happen between then, and we appreciate that between then and the event. So it just seems to be the way it is, that we will have withdrawals and people will get picked up from that wait list. We were discussing it the other day, and I think our messaging to people this year is the way we're feeling at the moment, is that if you are on that wait list, we think there's a greater chance than not of people getting positions eventually. So if you're really keen, our advice is to keep training, because we think a lot of people will get positions off that wait list looking at it at the moment. And we appreciate that is challenging when you aren't guaranteed a spot in a race and you want to train for it. That's a real challenge, but there'll be a lot of people out there that can tell you they've been offered, they've done that, and they've been offered positions in December. One message I would love to get across to people, if they are on the wait list and they for some reason comes up that they know that they won't be able to race, if they do inform us, it makes our job a lot easier to manage that wait list when we come to offering positions, basically. I know it's a challenge because it's sort of sitting in the background, but if anyone does know they can't race, then let us know. But yeah, that's where we're at. So then we're rolling into 2027, and as you know, Rich, the nature of the event, although it's either 2 days or 1 day, it is actually a 12-month event, and that's around the preparation to actually get to the start line, particularly if you've never done it before. It's not an easy race. It was designed in 1983, and the course is still pretty much the same. It's a real challenge, it is a genuine challenge. It's hard, so that takes preparation and training to get people to get ready. So my advice always at this time of year is kayaking. If that's something new, you should be putting in some time now, particularly in developing your skills. Great, we've sort of got another, in the southern hemisphere, we've probably got another 6 weeks of sort of autumn weather, I suppose. So great opportunity to go and develop those skills. And then winter time is not a time to stop kayaking. It's a time to sort of develop your fitness. So once you've got a few skills, then it's good to get out on that flat water all winter and just chip away and, refine those skills. So come spring, you've got a bit of fitness and you can really rip into it. So that's my advice, and start mapping out a bit of a plan, because it will make your race days far more enjoyable. A little bit of feedback.
Just on that thing you mentioned about paddling through winter, I had a conversation today with somebody about paddling during winter, and their question was, do people not paddle during winter? What's the sort of story? And I think one of the key things with winter here in New Zealand anyway, the weather is often pretty settled. The Waimak runs at about 40 to 50 cubics for most of winter. It only starts picking up when the snowmelt comes in and the spring weather hits, and it actually gets more challenging in September, October. So yeah, getting on the lower Waimak is a great spot to go paddling. Obviously keep yourself safe, etc. But I mean, if you can get some daylight to go paddling in, it makes a huge difference to your confidence to build across the course of winter.
Yeah, it's often more stable, isn't it? We get some great frosty days here in Canterbury, and I know in Central, and they're often the stable days where the river's the most stable too, to actually get out there and practice. And yeah, you did right, those lower sections of the braided rivers of the South Island, rivers of the South Island. It's a great time to get out on them and get into it. And I feel like come that springtime can be really unsettled, and come that December time when training can really ramp up, you're in a good position to get into it. And probably a message on that is, as an organisation, the concept of falling out of your kayak in the race is something that we sort of want to remove. A successful kayak is not falling out once. That's not success. Successful from our mindset is that you should be in your kayak the entire way down that river. And in terms of river safety, being in your kayak is the safest place you can be. That there's very few hazards when you're sitting upright in your kayak. It's when you're in the water, floating down without it, that the hazards exist. So, we get a little bit concerned. There's a mentality sneaking in that it's okay to swim. It's not okay to swim. Like in the kayak world, in the whitewater kayak world, that's sort of a people, that the whole thing you're trying to avoid is swimming. That's the art of the sport, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's boat choice. It's obviously skills and practicing and putting your boat in the right place, etc. But when you look at it, the Waimak is not overly tricky. One of the challenges with it's so long, and then concentration can lapse because nutrition is lapsed, all that sort of stuff. But from a river perspective, as long as you select the right boat, put your boat in the right place, it should pretty much do what it's told anyway, shouldn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Kayak choice is important, and then that skill set. And anyone who's doing a grade 2 will get taught these things. But one other thing that we probably find in our notes and, on reflection, is what a lot of people don't practice is actually kayaking with others around them. And we get into a bit of a pattern on the river where we know our perfect line. And I know there's a number of videos that circulate about the ultimate line. But the reality is that on race day, you might not be able to take your ultimate line because you might have 2 kayaks on your left and 3 on your right, So it is a grade 2 river, and it's a grade 2 river right down the entire river. So it is another skill is to think about is kayaking with others around, where maybe you can't get that perfect race stroke in because there's a kayak right next to you, etc. And we, from our notes and what our reflection, what we feel is a lot of that swimming is coming from people probably not having that experience of other kayaks around them and having to make decisions outside of their ultimate line and put themselves in slightly different positions. So, practice with others, particularly come summertime. That's what you want to set yourself up for over winter. And that's where, there is a number of race series throughout New Zealand, I'm sure overseas, where you can get out and kayak with others around you, which are, quite critical.
Yep. Perfect. So kayaking, make sure you get your skills organised. Any other messages for the class of 2027, Glenn, to finish up?
No, just look for enjoy the process. It starts now, and it seems a long way away, but the year will tick past pretty quick. I think people quite often lose focus for that start line over winter because it is really hard. But the reality is you just need to keep chipping away, and before you know it, it'll be December and the sun will be out and it's a bit warmer, and that's when the fun really begins. So stay focused, set yourself those goals, and that's where often a coach or someone outside of yourself can come in to assist just with that sort of mental planning and planning your year out. But I think if you talk to anyone on that finish line, there's probably everyone on that finish line probably had a period throughout their 12 months where they doubted whether they were going to be on the start line. But I don't think many on that finish line would regret, working through that and getting to the start line. They all say that was well worth it. So, set a plan, I suppose.
Good. They're very wise words from a race director. You've done well there, Glenn. And I think that's just, it doesn't have to be like a little target every now and again. It could be every 6 to 8 weeks or so that I'm going to do something. It doesn't have to be an event, but your own thing that you're going to turn up and do. It just keeps you focused, keeps you climbing that ladder and gives you some direction. And I think for those that have set the Coast to Coast 2027 as their target is that you've got a direction, and now it's a matter of working backwards to see what you need to work on when throughout the year so you can ultimately go and have an awesome time in February.
That's right, yeah.
Good job. Well, thanks for your time. All the best. Look after yourself across winter. Make sure you don't put yourself in the top paddock too much, Glenn, and we'll see you in springtime.
Yeah, no, looking forward to some downtime, and look forward to seeing everyone's training over winter, and look forward to seeing everyone over spring, and good luck, and can't wait for 2027.
Good job. Well done. Cheers, Glenn.
Cheers, Rich.
Righto, we're here to talk Coast to Coast with Calan. How are you getting on today, Calan?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks, Richard. You?
That's the story. Yeah, really good. Thanks. It's good to be here. Good to be on this side of the Coast to Coast, isn't it? You've just got through your first Coast to Coast, I guess, training and race day experience. How are you feeling about that now on this side of things?
Yeah, it's a bit of a whirlwind, really. And I can't actually believe we're already a month and a bit since Coast to Coast. I think that's the crazy bit. And it's now like, oh, now what? What comes next?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
So we'll get into. I want to talk to you about your Coast to Coast experience you build up as a first time, all that sort of stuff. But before we go into that, what is next?
Well, I think the only thing that's definitely in the calendar is going to be Coast to Coast next year. So I guess that's a pretty good sign. But otherwise, I need to probably have a bit of a think and make the most of a bit of a lull, I think, before things get too crazy going forward again.
Nice. It is good to do that, and I sort of encourage people to just have a bit of a moment, soak up the vibe of the race, and because it's a big job. It was a big job to train for it and get ready for it. So you need to be mentally ready to kind of put that effort in. But physically, your body can keep doing it, but do you want to?
Yeah, I think that's the thing I probably underestimated. As when I came off finish line, and I was all go, still living on the high, and then took sort of 2 weeks, and then suddenly, as if the plug had been pulled, and just went, whew.
Yeah. and that is a thing. And I find it takes 2 or 3 weeks to actually come down from that high. I feel like one thing that causes that is that people have finished hearing your story. So you like, oh, do you know what to talk about? Oh, okay, I'll just sort of keep it to myself then. That goes on a little bit, unfortunately, because it's such a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge thing. And I don't think unless you've been a part of it or been with somebody that has been a part of it, I don't think you quite appreciate how much it takes over.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go back to the start. What was your motivation initially? You got an entry. When did you get your entry, actually, last year?
Straight off the ballot, actually.
Okay,
I got really lucky. Got one of the golden tickets straight up. And I guess motivation for signing up for it was I'd had a really crazy couple of years with work and exams, and I'd sort of lost all resemblance of what a work-life balance should be or what I wanted it to be. And I was the most unfit I'd ever been, could hardly run 5K around the block. And I just needed something to challenge and motivate me to try and put me back first and get back to where I wanted to be from a health point of view. And I guess like I was meant to have done the 2-day back in 2022, but it got cancelled with COVID, unfortunately. And then the following year, I did my ankle 2 weeks before on Goats Pass. So didn't make the start line. And so I had unfinished business with Coast to Coast. And so I sort of put in for the ballot for the 2-day and the 1-day, not expecting to get a 1-day, but got the ticket and met up with you and thought, why not? Let's give it a crack, and thought it would be a decent challenge to try and reshift life's priorities again.
Yeah, good job. So just going back, what do you do for work? Like, obviously you've got a pretty big job going on.
I'm a doctor and work shift work, and I've just been going through sort of my final exams to come out the far end of it.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, life got put on hold for a bit, but back out on the other side of things, which is nice, into some form of reality.
Good job. Nice work. And just on that, from a training perspective, you do shift work and will continue to do so. How do you find that from a training perspective?
Yeah, it's definitely got pros and cons. I think what I had really underestimated was sort of the cumulative fatigue of sort of the stress of work and life and how that impacts. And I initially was super optimistic. Like, I'd finish my late shift at 2 a.m. and think, oh yeah, of course I'll be up for a long bike ride at 9 o'clock in the morning with everyone else who's going out on the bike, and soon realised that that's probably not sustainable in the long run. But it does have awesome positives, like you get the midweek Wednesday off when the weather's awesome and everyone else is stuck in an office, and you can get out and enjoy it or get in the powder. But it does take a lot more planning for people to sort of meet up with people who aren't on shift work and try and have things set in the calendar. You don't always get the Saturday that you want to go over Goats Pass. Yes.
Yeah, you get the Wednesday kind of thing, but you don't get the Saturday. It's that regularity. The routine is less. So that's, I guess, one thing we worked on doing was just making sure that your schedule was something that you could actually do, and you could actually, I guess, make sure that you're pushing hard when you're feeling good around your work, but then also just coming back and just maintaining things, but not going too hard on the other days as well.
Yeah, you were far more realistic than I was with what was actually obtainable, rather than my optimism of it'll be totally fine.
It'll be good, and then it's not good, and then you're in pieces after that.
I'm in pieces and I can't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously that was a challenge. What from a training perspective, what was challenging for you from a getting prepared for this thing?
Yeah, I think it was twofold, partly coming from like the unfittest I'd ever been and sort of having the internal expectations of where I wanted to be and realistically wasn't. And I found that quite hard, that you'd go for a run and think, I'm dying and I've literally been only out the house for 2 minutes. I've not even hit the hill. And then I guess from the big thing probably was the confidence in the kayak. I probably was started from a real low point on that. And that took quite a long time during the build-up to sort of regain and feel comfortable in the boat. And probably more just from the skills point of view, actually, is where I was lacking. And that needed a lot of work, and probably something I'd really underestimated.
Such as? What were some of the things you found challenging?
Definitely probably from the bike point of view. And so bunch riding was something new to me. And actually those Wednesday nights really helped, because initially you just feel like a complete rabbit in the headlights when you're surrounded by so many people. You're like, stay out of my space.
Yeah, that's right. It's I've talked about this before on the podcast, but one issue with cycling groups is that everybody looks so pro, don't they? From the outside looking in, like that, like coloured clothing, everyone's got lycra on, etc. They all look like they've got flat spikes, but when you go in and look a little bit closer, actually they don't, and they're not necessarily pro. And everyone's just trying to do their own thing, but it does look from the outside that everyone's very pro, and it can be quite intimidating to turn up for the first time.
Yeah, I think it definitely, when I haven't come from a cycling background, like pretty much only got on a bike when I moved to New Zealand like 8 years ago. So I definitely didn't grow up on a bike, and I definitely felt sort of the imposter initially coming. But you get those sort of fears get alleviated quite quickly when you realise that actually most people are there for the right reasons.
And supportive and looking to help.
Really,
and we also along the biking, like obviously the bunch riding, but we also did I get there's two types of cyclists. There's the ones that would much prefer to ride up the hill, and then those that would actually prefer to ride down the hill. The only reason I ride up a hill is that so I can ride down a hill. But you're on the other sense. You would like, if I just didn't have to do the down, it'd be so much better. I'll just do the good bit of the up.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the other camp for you. And I think to start with, I was probably going up hills quicker than I was going down them.
Yeah, testing those disc brakes.
The disc brakes were put to their limit, I think. But we did a few sessions and actually that confidence has improved. And I think one of the big wins during training was like coming down Dyers for the first time and actually being able to do it rather than getting to the top and saying, nah, not going to face that, and turning around and going the other way. Which is a huge
good stuff. Yep. And now you're out to riding in Christchurch Short Bays, which is out and over Dyers Pass down to Littleton. There's some pretty serious hills and some downhills into that as well. So are you at the point of actually smiling on the downhill? Because we did talk about that. If you're smiling, you do go faster and you do enjoy it more, but more relaxed.
There's definitely more smiles than grimaces now. So I think that's a win.
Okay, that is a great
Definitely slow and tentative, but at least I go down them.
Yeah, good stuff. That's awesome. And a lot of people find the kayaking side of things challenging. What was one or two things that you did to try and help yourself there? Because you mentioned that was tricky to get yourself up to speed in the boat and building that confidence.
I think it's just purely time in the boat, and I don't think you can underestimate that. And mainly on moving water. So the Avon sort of where I do most of the sessions, but trying to get on sort of do the Top Sport Pro Series races, do the River Classic, which are huge sort of confidence boosters in themselves, because each time you do it, and I was fortunate and remained dry for most of it, that actually it's a win.
Yes.
Yeah. And you realise, it's actually not that scary.
Yeah, good. And the more you relax and the more you realise it's not that scary, the better it goes, doesn't it?
It
so
is.
It's a tough one. You can't think yourself into that. You've really just got to kind of, as you say, do it, and that builds confidence from there. What were some highlights of your training across the last year or so, building up to your first crack at the Coast to Coast?
I think it was seeing the progress as I went, both from like the skill point of view and the fitness, and getting to the point that I could go on like the social trail run or the social long rides with friends and actually enjoy it rather than feel that it was just a complete sufferfest, which was really, really good. And sort of we had a few sort of like mini goals on the way, and so I went down and did the Rakiora Challenge trail run, which was an awesome social weekend away, and Crater Room, and just ticking bits off as you go. But it's just getting out really, and just finally not being stuck at a desk was a huge win.
Really. Yeah, so good. And you did a great job of your running. Your running is turned into a real strength, hasn't it? You've done really, really well there.
Well, it's definitely my happy place, and I think that's a two-edged or double-edged sword, really, isn't it? Because you find something you like and you stick to it, and try not to neglect the bits you're less keen on. But
yeah, and that's the balance of multisport. You do one thing, and you go really good at that, and then the other things drop off, and you have to do a little bit more of that. But that's the beauty of this time of year as well, is actually just kind of do what you enjoy, and let's get into those things specifically as well after the event. So you were originally down for the longer stay. That was the plan, but we actually ended up swapping to do the 2-day. So tell us a little bit more about that in the decision making. There was some big chats that we had, I think, is probably how to summarize it in terms of what are we doing? Why are we doing this was part of it as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the why was probably the big thing really that helped the decision making. So I think things have been going pretty good up until sort of December, bar the few couple of sicknesses that were inevitable. And then December wasn't as good training wise as it should have been due to personal reasons. And then but I was like, that's okay, got all of January and bit of February to go, no problem. And then got food poisoning at the beginning of January, which just absolutely wiped me.
Like properly, like you were crook as a dog.
I just couldn't do anything, which sounds stupid when you just say it's food poisoning, but I just really struggled to get back into any form of training. And I think I was just getting really anxious that I felt really undercooked for the longest day. And you and I had many a chat and many a tear over what to do and where to go from here. And I guess it sort of bottled down to, is this a one and done, or is this something that I'm really enjoying and want to keep being involved in? And I think for me, it was definitely I've loved what's happened over the last 9 months and want this to be something that is still part of my life going forward. And that sort of helped sway the decision to actually, why not go to the 2-day, take the pressure off, and not have the time cut-offs that would have been a pressure, because I think I'd got to the point where I was a bit worried that I wasn't even going to make the kayak, which would have been a real letdown, having actually got to a point of enjoying being in the boat. And so decided actually take the pressure off, do the 2-day, have a good time, enjoy it, see what the coast is about, and sort of gain some experience and understanding of what it actually is going to take for hopefully the next time we're doing longer stay. And I think we pushed the decision to probably the last minute possible.
We did, and I think that was a good decision to be able to not decide until we really need to. Let's it settle a little bit as well, rather than rushing into one or the other. But it was also like you've looked to try and stand on the start line before, but it hasn't happened too. So kind of that, in a way, there's more pressure there too, hasn't there? Because you feel like, I actually really need to get this done, because this is becoming a thing that I haven't been able to do this thing yet, which it shouldn't be that, but it is.
It is. And it's funny the pressure you end up putting on yourself for it, that no one else is putting on you, but the internal pressure. And I guess initially when I'd made the call to step down to the 2-day, I initially felt as if I was chickening out or taking like the easy option. And I was initially really disappointed in myself that I'd made that call. But I sort of slept on it for 48 hours and then realised actually, no, big picture, this is probably the best thing. And then can actually focus and actually give it a really good crack, rather than realistically probably not even get through most of the half day. Yeah.
To be honest, I think you would have got through the half day. I think it would have got through the longest day. I think you would have, but it's you wouldn't have enjoyed the registration. You wouldn't have enjoyed the week before. You'd be just in, So it was cool. You were able to actually enjoy the experience of the coast to coast, weren't you? I think that's the key thing.
Yeah. And that was huge. And I ended up absolutely loving it and having a great time.
Good. Were there any tough? You always need to ask about the tough bits. What were the tough bits, Calan?
There were probably 2 sense of humour failures. The first mini sense of humour failures. The first was probably on the first ride. And it started off so promising, and I was super chuffed. I got into a really good bunch, and we were going pretty good speed, and I'd managed to sort of hold on for a couple of the descents, and I was like, God, look at me go, I'm actually going down a hill without holding onto my brakes. And then there was one hill that got a bit too steep and fast for my liking, and I unfortunately lost the bunch, which meant I was in no man's land for what felt like an eternity. And I thought, this is going to be an extremely long day to come. But that's okay. Another bunch came and I tagged onto them, and the world started to look up again. And then the second low point was probably the last 10k of the kayak. Having absolutely loved the kayak up until that point, my lower back had seized, and I just needed to not be sat in a boat any longer. And I did that whole sort of stop, try and stretch it out, and realised that it wasn't really helping, and it was just prolonging the inevitable. And
just makes it worse almost. Just
needed to paddle and get to terra firma, and it would be okay. Those are the 2 real tough bits.
Good stuff. That's and I think a lot of people can relate to both of those things, very much so. Just like it's going well, then it's not going well, and then at the end of that kayak, it's just a long way, isn't it, to be able to keep going. And I don't think anybody's. I don't know if anybody's kind of enjoying it by that stage. You're just trying to get it done. Looking for those pylons across the river to try and find where Gorge Bridge actually is.
Yeah, and I was just kept trying to do the maths. I was like, how many K have I got left? And if I'm going this pace, how many minutes is it going to be? And I was like, it's just getting longer, not shorter. So I just need to paddle.
Well, at least you're actually doing the maths. Like I try and do the maths sometimes, and I just go cross. I was like, it's too hard. Just gotta keep pushing on. Yeah,
I'm not sure my maths was given correct answers, but there was some things being spurted out.
So, what's the highlights? What were a couple of the sort of key yeehaw moments?
So it was. Although it was the alternate run course, which I was a bit disappointed about, but the fact that we were still able to get out and do something was pretty awesome. And I absolutely loved that single track run through Arthur's Pass. And I don't know if it was just the highlight of no longer being on the viaduct, but that bit was great and felt like I was flying. And then actually just getting through the gorge and having a dry kayak was a huge win.
You're probably one of the only sort of few. It feels like a handful of people that did that. And on the podcast, we talked to Hamish Elliot as well, and he had a swim when the media boats were around, which was really good for everybody. But yeah, dry run, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll take that as a win. And it was I think it was just the realization of where I'd come from, having been probably a heart rate of 170 due to pure fear, like the first time going through the gorge this season, to actually being able to sit and relax relatively relax and paddle and enjoy it was awesome. And I got really lucky on the last cycle. I had a really good bunch. And so what could have been a very painful 70k headwind struggle home was actually quite a fun ride with a lot of banter. Good
stuff.
Yeah.
Nice work. So to wrap up, Calan, was there any sort of key learnings for other new people, first timers that are looking to do this coast to coast gig that you would sort of pass on from your year that you've just had?
Yeah, I guess the big learning take home for me was that I had been so conscious and preoccupied with making sure my fitness was where I wanted it to be, but actually the priority needed to be the skills and actually getting time out on course, or even just replicating the course, like being on the riverbed and running, or picking the more gnarly trail run rather than doing my favorite trails that are slightly easier underfoot, but free flowing and make you feel good. But actually find the stuff that's going to simulate what you do on race day, I think is key. And don't neglect them to the last minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
And super cool. Like, I'm super stoked for you. It was like of the year that you've just had, and to be lining up for it again, and to, as you mentioned, this is something that I enjoy doing. It's a process that I enjoyed to do, to be at this stage, take that coast to coast 2 day off, had that experience, enjoyed getting across the finish line and getting your medal and all those sort of good things, as you say, and then things to learn, things to continue to develop, to continue to improve and have awesome time with a bit of luck with the longest day.
Yeah, fingers crossed. As in, it's been awesome. And like, the more I've done it, the more I realized I need to do better. And it's quite fun to think what I can hopefully do over the next year and the gains I can make with sort of keeping that momentum going.
Yeah, and that's a fun part with this thing, isn't it? There's always other little bits and elements to work on and figure things out, and hopefully keep you balanced between work and doing something for yourself.
I hope so. As in, having seen the difference in how I am now compared with how I was a year ago, it's probably two different people. And so definitely prefer this version of me. So we'll keep this one. I'm far happier.
Yeah, well done. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you telling our story and sharing that. I'm sure there's a lot of people going to be able to relate to that. So yeah, thank you so much. And look forward to working with you in the year ahead.
Likewise. Thanks, Richard.
Good stuff. Cool. Thanks, Calan. See you.
Bye.
Hamish Elliot, 2026 Coast to Coast Longest Day champion. How are you getting on today?
Good, thanks, Richard. Very good.
The story. How many times do you introduce yourself as that since the race in February?
Nah, never. But I do get introduced it a little bit like that, so it's a wee bit pinch yourself moment. But it's a cool status to have.
It is a nice thing to have, isn't it? It's a pretty cool thing just to dine out on a little bit. And I hope you have dined down on it a little bit, sort of a month after the race, since you were on the finish line. How are you feeling, and how are you, I guess, reflecting on that big day?
Good. Yeah. Had like a fun month after the race, and reflecting on the race. It was a good season. I had sort of timed my build really well, and the pre-racing went well, and I saved my ultimate performance for the day. So trusted that build, and it just all clicked on the day, which is really rewarding.
Nice. So I want to talk a bit about your day, reflecting on it, reviewing how it went. I'd say, I'm not sure you wouldn't be into this, but like, I had you at pretty short odds coming into the race based on like your preparation, your background. You're a good runner. You seem like you've really brought your kayaking up in the last few years as well. So how confident were you feeling on the start line?
I was confident, and I think that's really important to be confident, but not arrogantly confident. So confident in all my training and preparation went really well. I'd never go into the headspace that it's going to be an easy win or it's going to be a bit of a walk in the park, because it never is, not in a race like that. And if you go into a race with that headspace, you'll probably get a good wake up call during it. So it all flowed well, and I've got there was a great field of athletes there, and a lot of respect for all those men and women there. So it's anyone's race on the day. Yeah.
It totally is, isn't it? It's pretty cool because that race ebbs and flows as well. Like we all talk about, like everybody is about getting off the beach in a good time and getting in that bunch and then off on the mountain run kind of thing. Early on in your day, you'd say things were going pretty well for what you were planning for. Would that be fair?
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely. First ride was good. There was a good bunch. It wasn't ultimately fast, which sets me up on the run reasonably well. So, the run went really well. Run pretty hard as planned, and moved around into the kayak and good form on the bike as well.
Yeah, nice. So there is a bit of it's been quite interesting reviewing with all our athletes how they went, and it does seem like a lot of people fell out of the boat this year, but it's always been like people really appreciated the fact that you fell out of your boat as well, Hamish. So back to like just passing that feedback back to you, everyone's really appreciated that. So well done and thank you.
Yeah. No, that definitely wasn't in the plan, but no, it's a I guess the race never goes perfectly, and it was just a lapse, and I realised that could have costed me in a tighter race. So it's always something to come back and improve on. Yeah,
so tell us about how that happened. Like, first of all, before you tell us that, when was the last time you actually fell out of your boat? Like someone like yourself doesn't fall out of your boat most river trips. It's sort of, oh my God, what just happened there? When was the last time you've actually fallen out?
Oh, I couldn't honestly tell you how long. Like, could have been a couple of years. Not last season, and could have been even the 2023 race. When I probably paddled the Phantom and fell out in the river. So it would have been a good couple of years. So it's just on the day. It was had to be on the day, but it was I guess how did it? I just sort of wiggled around. It's a sore left glute and just trying to reposition my hips around, and I just ended up. I was fairly fatigued. I had a good handle on the pedal, like I was moving well, but just that shifting around and probably just and it's always in the easy spot. It's not actually in the most technical water either. So and it just happened to be past the media boat, so they had good.
They love that stuff.
Filming
100%. Yeah, it's straight on the news. Did you catch your paddle at the same time? Did you sort of dig it in funny, and therefore you didn't have a brace stroke to put in, or?
No, I forget actually how it happened. No, actually, it was just lapse concentration, and the pedal might have been out of rhythm, and it just wasn't there when I needed it. But I think it was already in the right hand side, and then I fell out to the right as well. So it was but like it's what would it be, 7-8 hours into the race? So like fatigue is definitely a part there, and it's just something that I need to sharpen up on.
It is one of the things that keep bringing us back to this race. It's a mastery thing, isn't it? Of how do I guess, cope and deal with the conditions in the bike and the run and the paddle and the transitions and all those things that come at you. So, it's just another thing to keep you honest.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's such a puzzle to put together, and there'll always be a piece out during the day. But if you've got that adaptation headspace, then it's and staying composed when those mistakes happen, then you can reassure yourself you get back going.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess it'd be interesting to hear, like, one thing that happens when you do fall out, sometimes you get cold, so it's a bit of a negative, but also it's a chance to kind of stretch your legs as well. So probably almost can be, in a way, kind of positive as well. So I'd imagine you get in with a fair bit of adrenaline going on and kind of fresh legs because you've had a chance to get up, stretch them, sort your boat out before you got back in again. So I'd imagine once you got back into a rhythm, you'd probably be paddling like you're solid after that.
Yeah, you do get a bit of a wake-up shake, being going under. So, I think may have cost me 2 to 3 minutes. I think like it feels like the world when it happens, but
Yeah.
it wasn't actually that much time. So I didn't get a lot of water in the boat either, so I could actually just get to the side and just lift it up straight away and empty it. I didn't have to be at one end or the other. So you got that sorted pretty quickly. But yeah,
it's nice for the rest of us to think that everybody's actually between swims. No one's never going to have another swim. It's just between swims. It depends on how long between those swims you are.
Yeah, and what day? But yeah, luck
Yeah.
of the draw. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So just looking at your preparation, like this season, you did a bunch of races was the focus, eh? Like got out and raced a whole lot of local races. How did you find that as part of your build up? And is that something you'd recommend to others?
Yeah, for sure. No, I enjoy those local races, and yeah, the one in Wanaka here, Twizel, Mount Summers, they all have similar parts of it in coast. So it's about practice, it's about turning up ready, dealing with nerves, dealing with pressure, practicing nutrition. It's a no-brainer. So no, I'd highly recommend getting to those local races and supporting those events, because they're the ones that you need to practice for coast. So and a good way to measure where your strengths and weaknesses are lying. So you may have been running well last season, and then you have a measure up in the new season with these races.
It's a good way to just put yourself out there as well. Like, do you feel pressure? Like, I know you're trying to peak for coast, but do you feel pressure in those other races? Like, I'm not quite where I want to be. Shall I turn up for this? Or you're just like, actually, I'm just going to put myself out there and who cares? I'm just going to have a crack. What's your mentality in those build-up races?
Definitely just getting out there and having a crack. It's about practice. It's about finding your form. I remember doing Waimak Classic and I didn't paddle well, but I left that race feeling so driven and motivated, and I felt that my paddling was not far away from being on point, and so I just trusted those last 8 weeks into coast that would happen, and it does. So getting in and just having a crack. No, I'm happy to lay it out there and go up against the other local guys, and it's a lot of fun as well. So trusting that the build, it's part of the build, and these races you don't have to be peaking. You're building to February. So
but I like that motivation you take away. Like sometimes you think you're going quite well, but then you're like, you have a bit of a wake up call and like, actually, maybe I need a bit more work to do. And I guess at the end of the day, training is about effort, isn't it? Like your body will keep doing it, but am I actually willing to put the effort into my training right now? And that's what that race, Waimak Classic, obviously gave you.
Definitely, yep. It's a great driver, and sometimes you do need a wake up call and just find your feet and measure up. So no, it's well worth doing these races. Definitely, yep.
Nice. Going back to your race, your longest day. This is the second time you've been on the top step of the podium. How were you feeling coming out of that boat? What was going on in your head as you rode to Christchurch? Were you kind of celebrating at that stage? I guess anything can always go wrong, but how were you feeling on the way home?
Good, eh? Like, I guess getting out, I hadn't had a split all river. So getting out and hearing I had 15, 16 on Sam, then it wasn't, I rode relatively well, but I wasn't, pulling a time trial out that I needed, may have done a couple years ago against Alex. It was about just racing smart at that point. I definitely wasn't celebrating until I got to New Brighton. But as long as I could put a solid ride in and keep myself honest, I've always been driven to for performance, not position. And so it was always an honest performance. And so that was where I was sitting.
It's pretty cool. How many times have you done this race? You won it this year. You were second to Alex last year. You also dropped a whole bunch of your nutrition at the start of the run last year. Alex raced super well. You won it the year before. What have you done before that?
It's a good question. I had a 5th in 2023. Big paddling. Fallout, I guess. So the river didn't go well that year. Where else have I been? I've had the very first time I did a 7th. I've done the 2-day once, and I've done a team once, and I've had a DNF. So bit of a mixed bag, but it has been a bit of a stepping stone, I guess, from that 5th, 7th, 5th, 1st, 2nd, 1st. So I've sort of found my feet near the front of the race now.
Yeah, that's super cool, isn't it? And in terms of what I want to go through is it's great to have someone of your caliber that's been around this race and really racing at the top end of the field. And I mean, to be able to do that, it kind of becomes a bit of like, it's almost an obsession, isn't it? Like you're trying to do everything you possibly can to get those 1%ers to try and really dial in your performance to as best as you can, because ultimately that's what everyone else is doing. So if you don't, you leave yourself a little bit short. But what are some things, like if we went through like some of your preparation and how you actually execute your day, in your race review, you talk about like the physical versus the mental and how important that mental element is. So what tips would you give somebody from a mental skills perspective to stand on the start line to give it their best?
Yeah, it's a good talking point. I guess mentality is, knowing you've done all you can and having your expectations set on what you've done. So if you've got them too high, you may be feeling that nerves and pressure, but if you've put in everything you can, then you can raise that bar to where you feel it should be. I don't go all, like I feel like I'm not a professional athlete, so I don't train professionally, but I do invest a lot into the race. And so I buy in a lot to the plan, and I trust the training. And so I go to the race feeling very confident. And so that throws me in a good headspace in that way of thought. The second way is sort of being driven on what's driving me and the reason why you're there. And so that's always a good question to ask in your preparation and that morning, like, why am I doing this, or what's going to be driving me? And so I guess mine's just to perform and to execute the best race possible. And so I only worry about what I can control, which is only what you can I focus on. And so just getting into those good headspaces. I do draw a lot of self-expectation off myself by falling into a headspace where I pull a lot of meaningfulness out of the race. So I sort of go to the race and just, when you go to a race and you don't put an expectation on yourself and you race really well. And so that's what I do at Coast, because it works. And so, I do care and I do want to race well, but before the race and even like in the early stages, like it's a relaxed, just happy to be there. It's a privilege to be there, and it just puts myself in a great headspace. So learning those mental tricks are great way to set yourself up.
So you're smiling on the start line, you're embracing it, you're happy to be there, you're really just enjoying your time. Like it's cool, isn't it? It's the most positive place to be in New Zealand or in the world probably on that particular weekend. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. Like, what if you enjoy something, you do it well. So just go there and don't be so like, okay, I'm serious, but don't be so super serious or real like tense. Just like relax and just be like, oh, how fun. Like you'll look back 20 years ago and just be like, man, that was so cool that we all went and did that with all our friends and just like raced across the country and then had a beer afterwards. And so it's like just pulling that expectation off yourself and just going in with like, okay, you'll click once, like if it means enough to you, you'll click when the race starts. But beforehand, like a great way to deal with nerves is just like lower the self-expectation.
Yeah, because the expectation is the killer of fun is what I've sort of, when working with others, it just draws that fun factor away, doesn't it? It's not necessarily something you can control. Like actually, that's a fantastic tip.
Yeah.
I want to also talk about just some other things around the race. What's a couple of gear tips that you'd have, like someone like yourself? What are some things that you're using or doing that you'd recommend others, I guess, that are either racing the race for the first time or lining up for the longest day to do their best?
Yeah, I guess set up on all three disciplines, like on the bike and on the run and in the boat, like, and have those setups well established, and you've practiced a lot with them. But especially in the run, like, trial your running pack, know where your pockets are, know what sits where you're going to grab that, how heavy it is with your gear in it. It's always a big preparation thing. I'll go do long runs with my heavy pack on, well, everything I need to carry through, like, in the preparation, and so that helps on race day. So yeah, running pack would be one. I think a good paddle is always a good one to invest in, or to talk to people that know a lot about paddling, and learn what blade size works for you and how long your paddle shaft should be, and that can make a huge difference. And yeah, I guess, like, quality, a good quality paddle. So I use a Yarntex, and it's a fantastic paddle. So definitely recommend, like, and just the boat setup, knowing how your nutrition's going to work in the boat, and if it's liquid or solids, and how those tubes work, and how well they stay in and not fall out, or your smoothies are too thick. So yeah, always a good one to practice is that whole boat setup. But definitely a good paddle would be I think it's well worth investing in.
And what about from a bike perspective? Running vest and paddling, the paddle and the boat setup. What about from a bike perspective?
Yeah, bike. Just looking at my bike across the room. It's got I guess just you're comfortable for one. I think you're always going to ride better comfortable. Investing in a bike setup, maybe potentially seeing a professional to set yourself up on the bike. I do believe a time trial bike is the best bike for the longest day. It's so much faster when you can sit in that aero position, and you're pushing the same amount of power, but you're moving 2 or 3K quicker. So I definitely recommend the TT. Good aero bars, you're comfortable. And that I guess that's that last ride. Like, it's 9 times out of 10 it's a headwind. So if you're tucked up and in aero position, you are going to be moving relatively better than on a road bike.
Nice. What's your nutrition tip, Hamish? What's a key thing to share with others from a nutrition perspective? Obviously, everybody's different, depending on how the speed they're moving, what their preferences are, etc. But what's a tip that you would sort of share with others?
Obviously, practice and learn what works for you, what your intake's going to be for the day. I'm always quite calculated with that, and so I know exactly how many grams I've got on me for what leg, and how much I should expect to get in. So I think calculating how many grams of carbs, depending on how you measure it could be calories, what you're going to be getting in per hour is a good measurement. And that might meaning going and talking to a professional as well, and learning a lot, because that can make or break your race realistically. And that could just be the fact of having an extra couple salt tabs. You maybe a bit low on that, and so you're being well measured with that.
Yeah, that's a great tip, isn't it? Because we can all do that. We can all measure that. We can all come up with some numbers and get some advice, get some actual advice from somebody that knows you and knows your speed and all that sort of stuff. Actually talk to someone is super important. Great tip. And finally, I guess one of the key things that makes this race so special is the support crew element, because you can't do it alone. You've got to have a crew to help you out to get through the country from A to B. What's the support crew tip that you'd give us?
So I actually believe the support crew should be fun people to be around, because you want it to be just like the best weekend. You don't need, I feel like someone who's really capable around a bike and with gear is definitely worth having if that's possible, but just fun people, that you can trust them. And I think it definitely comes up to the athlete to prepare them, so they don't have to be a certain caliber or a certain fitness or whatever. That you can write a list and they know what to do. But I can just a fun couple, 2 or 3 people that you like hanging out with, and it's always a fun weekend with a good crew.
That's exactly right. And people can find out. There's bike mechanics here. There's 1,000 people that will give you advice on your boat if you're not sure about it, a support crew, etc. So I guess as long as they're willing to get amongst it and roll their sleeves up, happy days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Nice work. So can I ask this? Are you be back for 2027? It's early days. I have to ask though.
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely an interest. So yeah, no decision's been made, but yeah, I loved the race and had a great time this year from the briefing all the way to the enterprise giving. So it's a fun weekend and it's awesome to be part of.
And the other part of it, which we haven't really touched on, but it's a sustainable lifestyle thing, isn't it? So obviously, as you mentioned, you're not a pro athlete, but you're as you say, you're not training like a pro, but you're definitely racing like one. Like you've obviously got some things going on in terms of work and balance and life to be able to kind of turn up and perform well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, in a great position with work, and I've got great employers that will let me be relatively flexible around work. So they support me on that, and that's really cool position to be in. So it's a balancing act for sure, but it definitely has to become a lifestyle. And I think, if you're enjoying it and you can make it social at times, and there'll be a bit of time alone. I probably spend too much time alone, but it is and just you love when you're fit and you love when you're eating well, and it's just a flow and effect to everyday life, I guess. So it's cool to see the event thriving and so much interest in it.
Yeah, that's a very good sort of way to wrap this up. Is we are better humans when we have got a goal like this on the cards, haven't we? Like I think, like for me, when I don't have that, I become lazy. Like we're all inherently lazy, so you kind of slouch into maybe not so good habits, but you do pull your socks up when you have got something like this on the cards.
For sure, yeah. No, it's so motivating to have a goal in sight, and it doesn't have to be coast, but it can be a fitness goal or something that you're striving for, and that's it's a healthy way to be. So I'm a big believer in that too. Yeah,
good stuff. I don't feel like you're going to be the lazy type of a guy that's going to just slouch into not too much anyway. I think you'll be pretty busy.
Yeah, no, there's always something to look forward to, and recreationally or competitive. So no, enjoy the lifestyle. So it's good community to be in.
Good job. Well done, Hamish. Hey, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on a fantastic win, and well done on achieving that fantastic goal of getting across the country from one side to the other faster than anyone else in one day. You've done well. Longest day champion.
Thanks, Richard.
Good job. Well done.